Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bowl season as we continue here on the betting Q&A brought to you by BetMGM. Vaughn Dalzell, Eric Froton, and Brad Thomas. We commend you all for last week's work, moving all the prop lines. We're doing damage here. We're looking to do it once again. Drop a like, drop your best bets. And I want to start by saying happy holidays. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Brad, what was your favorite thing that Santa brought you?
My daughter Juliet was definitely my favorite thing that Santa bought me.
Easy call.
It's funny because I don't think I got that many significant gifts this season. I told my wife, I was like, we have a daughter, she also helped me build this freaking massive computer that I'm running right now. And I was like, I don't need anything else. I'm pretty satisfied. She kept bugging me. What do you want for Christmas? I was like, dude, I literally got what I want. Christmas was awesome, man. Tiring though. We made 3 stops. 3 different places we had to check out before. So man, I'm still exhausted. And then we had Boxing Day yesterday, so I'm probably gonna nap after the show.
Yeah, you were definitely active yesterday with the bets. Appreciate that. I tailed a couple of those soccer bets. Didn't know what I was playing, but I was playing them. So I hope you had a great holidays. But I appreciate the hat, by the way. Eric, what was your favorite thing?
I mean, besides the Juventus cap that Brad sent us, that was a special one. That was the in terms of sentimental value was definitely that. But I would say I got a pair of the earphone i Pro. What the hell they call the earphone? The AirPods. Sorry, look at me. God,
I didn't even know what they were called. I didn't know what they were
AirPods. Right? Yeah, the AirPods in my Pros that I really needed because I had these a pair of JBLs that I would always use. They were comfortable in my ears, but they weren't as good in terms of picking up sound. So now you can hear me crystal clear all the time. Anytime you're on the headset with me. So that way, in terms of function, I'm going to use those all the time. So that is my favorite, personal favorite gift.
Yeah, I agree.
Cole Kramer was Bainbridge's favorite Christmas present. God, that was a layup. You're right, Bainbridge. I should have went with that. Here I am, I'm shooting straight. I should have went with Cole Kramer.
Hey, listen, I literally texted you guys during that game yesterday because Cole Kramer was getting the AJ McCarron treatment with him and his fiance. He was the story of that bowl game. But first game, starting senior, he was legendary. Cole Kramer is definitely a great answer. I was lucky enough to receive free $250 in bets from Brad on Christmas out of nowhere. That was awesome. Yeah. And then, you weren't in a betting state, my friend. So we thought about you, trust me. And then I got to visit my family, be with my family for the first time in 3 years.
That's awesome.
My mom, grandparents, and everyone. So it was a great time. I lost in pool, but I had a great day overall. So happy holidays to everybody. Even from Brazil here, we got a shout out. So thank you, Carlos. We appreciate you guys. Shane, let's go, baby. Time to make some money. That's right.
Yes, money time, baby.
Absolutely, boy.
All right.
Long timer.
So,
all year.
First game on the board. Yes. Thank you for everyone who's been listening. And the money train starts to roll now. Military Bowl, Tulane versus Virginia Tech. Hokies laying 10.5, 43.5 total. Who wants to go first? Who wants to do the honors?
I'll kick this one off. This is a funny one. I was probably going to take Virginia Tech. I would get down to the -5.5 and parlay them with Manchester City today. I kind of want to see where that line settles. I hope that we see kind of some reverse line movement or some buyback for maybe some sharps who think that just the number got out of hand with all the Tulane players out. But we have to be serious about this Tulane game. Tulane doesn't have their head coach. They don't have Pratt, Braswell, Jackson. I could go down the list. More importantly, they're missing a ton on the defensive side of the ball, which I thought was going to be their biggest struggle in this game. So I end up passing for now. But if you follow me on Twitter at Mr. Brad Thomas, I will drop an alt line parlay for you guys. It'll probably something like -5.5 at Manchester City money line. Haven't decided. Reason why I like Manchester City is because the coach Pep Guardiola is 17-0 against Sean Dyche today. So hasn't lost to him or hasn't drawn either.
Love that. Yeah, can't hate that. Get that plus money, Brad. Give us a little extra holiday Christmas bonanza for us. All right. Eric, we know you got some plus money plays always. My question to you before you get into your plays here is I like Virginia Tech too. It's a strong lean of mine. I'm in the VSiN contest. I'm taking VTech minus 10.5 here as one of my strong leans for the day because I agree with a lot of what Brad said. Is it better to take Virginia Tech, though, betting in the first half rather than full game? Could we see like an Old Dominion type situation here?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's tough to project, first half, second half stuff. But, when it comes down to motivation,
we nailed South Alabama, though.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, the first, second,
you made that official.
You wanted. Like any way you wanted that game, you were gonna hit it pretty much as long as you put your money on South Alabama. But with Tulane, I mean, it's the narrative is there. Willie Fritz is out. So is offensive coordinator Slade Nagel, who is the interim HC for the bowl, but he's going to be heading out too. It's a divided staff here. Obviously, a changing of the guard, and with on the other side, look at Virginia Tech, fully intact, pretty much for the most part. Brent Pryce, first bowl game. This is a team that worked. They were in bad straits a few years ago, at the end of the Fuentes era, just not a lot of optimism. And you've seen them come up, and it shows with the opt-ins. Their top two wide receivers, Allie Jennings, Daquan Felton, Jalen Lane, all three of them have opted in for next year, as has tight end Stephen Gosnell. So they're going to have their complete offense, total continuity in the passing game coming back next year and in the bowl. So when it comes to the props that I like, and then obviously on the other side with Tulane, opt-outs all over the place. Vaughn mentioned them, but in addition, their number one safety, DJ Douglas, and their number two are both going to be out. You have their top cornerback, Jairus Monroe, all AAC performer. He's out 754 snaps last year, as well as one of their top reserves, Kaland Harrison. There's a lot that Tulane is missing for this game. So with that in mind, the props that I like, running back for Virginia Tech, Byshell Tootin, saw that it opened at 75.5 pretty much everywhere. However, today FanDuel listed late and they put him down at 67.5, which I think is a great deal. You could certainly see him go over the 100-yard mark, but even more so than that, in addition, that's a good deal, good line from what I think you'll see for his workload. I also like Daquan Felton, wide receiver, clearly the wide receiver one for Virginia Tech, really took hold of that room for the last 5 games of the season or so. Has been crushing his line. And not only did I liked him at 62, which is where he had been lined all week. Again, FanDuel came out 5 yards low at 57. I think you're getting a great deal with both of those guys. If that's still hanging over there at FanDuel, maybe check where it's at Bet Rivers or Caesars. They're both overs. But, man, with all the departures, with the thin back line for Tulane, and with Felton, just if you haven't watched him, he's been exceptional. And one of those hidden gems in the ACC, I think you're going to see him really show out. So those would be I like those two overs. And on the other side, by the same token, you have no Michael Pratt. You also have, we're going to see Kai Horton's in the portal. It's going to be him and Justin Ibieta, splitting snaps. We really don't know what we're going to get. Neither of them were listed. But with Mekhi Hughes, opened up at 109.5. He's at 107.5 right now, is where I've seen. Heck, I saw him open way lower than 107 at a couple of places. I've seen him down actually under 100 in the low 90s. So if you can get him at that 107 for an underplay, I do think that that's worth a look, even though Hughes has been very good this season. But again, if we're playing the trends, I'm playing the game script here. I think script-wise, this is how it's going to go. They're going to have a hard time running against the loaded box with Hughes and probably be diversifying carries a little bit. I like a shot at that 107.5 under.
Yeah, and this is a great question from Colby here, who's another faithful follower, asking any concern with him getting an overload on carries, because we've seen it even run Minnesota yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
They ran their guy into the ground.
Oh yeah, Darius Taylor. Well, that was an over. He came out. He wasn't even listed for a long time. Came out late at 81.5, and it was just like, oh, wow, really? You're gonna give us Darius Taylor full bill of health in his hometown of Detroit? That was that was a profitable game. The mini game between, as we mentioned, Cosmo Kramer's love child and
go Gophers,
our boy Taylor. But yes, that is a concern. That's why I do like Tootin, and to a larger extent, the two Virginia Tech plays. But I can't help it. I think script-wise, they're running into Virginia Tech's defense. This defense was way better, I think, than people realize. That was really the backbone of their team. That's what Brent Pry, where he came up with Penn State, what he does. So that's really my particular feeling, is that they're going up against a pretty strong ACC front that is up and coming and motivated. And they're not running up against the AAC, underbelly when it comes to some of the defensive lines we've seen there. This is a completely different, level. So I don't think it's the same as Darius Taylor running against a MAC defensive line in Bowling Green with PJ Fleck having a chip on his shoulder because they lost last year to Bowling Green. He got heckled for it for the remainder of the previous 2 years. So he wanted to make sure that he won that. That I think was a little bit different circumstances, respectfully.
Yeah. Respectfully. And I'm going to respectfully agree with Richard Thomas here. Crunch time today. You're going to need those missing pieces for the green wave. I think I'm going to ride with the chat boys. I'm on a half unit VTech minus 10.5.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the stars have aligned for them, and I do agree they have the motivation. Tulane was a team that expected to be in a New Year's Eve Six Bowl. They expected to be playing in a much bigger game than this. So, and this game is closer for VTech. We've already heard they got the flags out in Blacksburg. They're ready to go for the Military Bowl. So, yeah, Chad, I'm with you. Let's ride Hokies, baby. It's time to get some money. So, the next game, Brad, you teased it. Here we got a plus money over 400, plus 400. North Carolina versus West Virginia. You are a WV alum, so I'm sure you're pulling for the Mountaineers today. I've seen this actually come down now to -6. So money coming in on the Tar Heels. It is in the state of North Carolina, this game. What do you break down, my man? What's your plays?
Yeah, the spread here is interesting. Like, as someone who desperately wants West Virginia to be great at football, like my Crimson Tide, they're just not that level where I'm comfortable taking them plus. I mean, laying a touchdown as them as a favorite against any opponent, regardless of who is in or who is out. But what I'm comfortable taking is Garrett Green rushing over 60.5. I also took him rushing a plus 100 plus for plus 425. Garrett Green's numbers are interesting. Back-to-back games of 100 plus rushing yards. And if you guys don't have PFF, you guys absolutely must, because it's one of the best tools to look, especially for quarterback rushing numbers. I like to look at things called design scrambles, designed QB runs yards, because that tells you how many times or how many yards he's getting on plays that are specifically designed, said, hey, nothing's breaking down. You're running the ball. That's what you know from the snap. Back-to-back games of 50-plus rushing yards on designed QB runs against Cincinnati, had 115. What I also like about this bet is, little did you know, Garrett Green was the third least sacked quarterback in America this season. A lot of people wouldn't realize that. He doesn't take sacks. And that's probably the killer when you're talking about quarterback rushing props, is they take those sacks. He doesn't take a lot of sacks. And then there's good news or bad news if you're a Tar Heels fan on the opposite side of the ball for the Tar Heels. They're going to have a ton of quality players out, a ton of players, especially Cedric Gray, linebacker, is going to be out. I think that's going to play a big factor. Miles Murphy is playing supposedly, or starting. I don't think Miles Murphy on the D-line is going to play the whole game. He's going to do one of those, I'm going to start and then count. No way a guy in the trenches against a team who's going to want to run the ball a ton with Neil Brown, under Neil Brown, is going to have one of their star NFL guys play the entire game. So I think that actually helps with our running play here. So for me, it's Garrett Green. But I do think that West Virginia wins this game. But Mac Brown, regardless of who he has under center or who he has available to him, is just such a good coach in bowl games at covering the spread. West Virginia, I think, is something like, 1-9 in their last 10 against the spread in bowl games. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I did see West Virginia struggles there. Any question? Because Shane says money line. Do you think North Carolina can cover?
I think West Virginia wins this game. Minus 230, is parlayable, but it's just every single time I felt like this season when we trusted the Mountaineers, they were in a good spot, right? Good spot. They dropped the ball, either didn't cover or didn't win the game straight up. So now we're playing in a bowl game where motivation, even though, they say motivation on the side of West Virginia, we truly don't know what the motivation is.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. With the other side, North Carolina, a lot of opt-outs and a lot of transfer portal entries. Some of them fairly significant. You'll have starting center Corey Gaynor, as well as quarterback Drake May, of course, Devontae Walker. So linebacker Cedric Gray. So they're getting hit by their most talented players being, on the opt-out side. Obviously, you'll have Connor Harrell starting at quarterback. With West Virginia, there's a few guys that are going to be missing here, but not nearly to the extent of UNC. Which obviously doesn't have their defense is not nearly as bad as they have been in past years, but they still are susceptible to the shootout. Brad and I are actually on the same side here. We have a straight up squad ride, not even, independent of each other, put this on the sheet and both got really excited and proceeded to hit the alt line on this because we're going to be simpatico. We better do it. We have a double. We have an alt line and an over. Garrett Green, quarterback for West Virginia. Guy that I know, if you've been listening all season long to us, you have heard this name before come out of our mouths. I've been pretty, I would say bullish on Green. I faded him a couple times, but, in general, bullish with his ability just to make plays off of script. He's, when you flush him, he's an incredible runner, and he will actually reset his eyes a little bit. And, he's an exciting player to watch. He's part of what makes college football great that the NFL guys just can't understand. So he actually opened up around the 64.5 mark. I actually just saw it at 60.5 today, but with the 64 still out there, depending on spots. So I would shop this a little bit and make sure you get your best line. But as Brad had mentioned, he went over 100 yards in each of the past two games, with North Carolina having either the word you were searching for, the term, Brad, when you're like, I think he's going to play, but not that much. If you watch my video I put on social media,
yes, I did.
The soft out.
Yes.
Malachi Corley was the first one to kick off soft out season. So yeah, I think you definitely could see a couple soft outs, on the edge. Rucker, potentially as well. On the North Carolina side, leaving them a little bit susceptible on the inside to the run game. You got no CJ Donaldson as well. He will not be playing in the game. He is out, which kind of gives Justin Johnson a little boost. He's got a big number on him, 113. I definitely don't feel comfortable taking an under. And I do think you'll see West Virginia pounding the ball today. So that certainly gives credence to the Garrett Green over in rushing yards. And great call by Brad mentioning how he doesn't get sacked very often either.
Yeah, I looked up North Carolina, only 27 sacks on the season through 12 games, so a little bit over 2 per game. Not going to get you, not going to scare us off the Garrett Green prop today. Eric, you've liked a lot of quarterback overs on the rushing props this postseason, I've noticed. So I'm going to take note of that for sure heading into next year. But I want to note that this game just moved from 58.5 to 60 on the total. And that's kind of the direction where I was thinking too, because Brad, you already made a note on this game. West Virginia is actually on an 0-8 against the spread streak dating back to 1994. I was born in 93. So I haven't seen West Virginia cover a spread in my entire lifetime in the bowl games. That's pretty crazy. Now you're asking to cover 6.5, 6 in North Carolina against a Tar Heels team that I feel like is depleted. They haven't performed well in bowl games either. Obviously, no Drake May, best receivers out, a couple guys on defense. It sets up for an over is the best bet. I can't really trust either team. I think both teams are going to be able to run and have success today. I think both teams, if they're forced to throw on them 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 10s, they have ability for both quarterbacks to get out, get the first down, or be able to throw. So I'm going over as my lean in this play. I won't put any official money on it. And I'm torn on who to pick in the VSiN contest because I'm officially 1 game back of Thor Nystrom because Kansas only won by 13. I had him 13.5, got the worst of the number in the VSiN tournament. So, and Thor had the plus 13.5. Darn you, Thor.
Oh, it's a killer.
So,
well, I actually have 2 more here on the North Carolina side. British Brooks is listed out there at 28.5 rushing yards. That is a smoking line. Now, I get it that British Brooks is a senior. This will be his last game with North Carolina. However, look, you got a Marion Hampton there who is one of the top 10 runners in the country, this season. I don't think there's pretty much any doubt about that. In terms of heading into 2024, he's a top 5 runner, and he's ahead of him. He's playing. British Brooks has not beat this 28.5 rushing yardage mark against. He has gone, one Power 5 team in the last 11 games that he's gone over 28.5 rushing yards. In fact, he hasn't gone over 20 rushing yards. Forget about 28.5 in that span. So there's only one team, and that was Georgia Tech, where Marion Hampton went down for a little bit and he got 8 carries, right? But we're talking about the usage. He's in a handful of carries he's basically getting. He would have to get a pretty substantial workload considering the fact that would be a lot more than he's gotten all season. Sure, could it happen? Yes. But if you want to sprinkle a little on 28.5 under British Brooks, you got to go with the trends. If you're going to get something that hasn't happened 10 out of 11 times, I mean, maybe it will. Maybe lightning will strike. That being said, J.J. Jones, 64.5 receiving yards. As stated, Connor Harrell starting his first game. He's pretty mobile, and obviously a pretty highly touted quarterback. He's a 4-star. But we don't know how he's going to look out there. And in terms of a 64.5 on JJ being his first time kind of coming back into being that primary outside receiver, I need to see him do it first. There's a lot of different options. You got Kobe Paysauer out there too. So I need to see it with JJ Jones. I'm backing an underplay on his 64.5 receiving yards. Maybe he'll do it, but that's a pretty good line on his part.
Yeah,
Froton stays moving markets.
bro, if you haven't caught on yet, this is what we do here. And Brad, people, you gave the teaser out in this game on your plus 425 play. And people were smart.
FanDuel closed the British Brooks line as soon as I put out.
And they also have already moved the plus 425 on Brad's plus money play because people were smart. They were searching for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I say my Crimson Tide. I bleed Crimson Tide. I bleed red. Just gonna a lot of people bleed red, but you know what I mean. Bleed for my my Tide there. For people who don't know, Bovada dropped it down. I gave this out in Gold Boys earlier today and teased it on Twitter. If you go on DraftKings, you can still get plus 425 for Garrett Green right now. Their lines actually aren't matching up. That typically happens on DraftKings where the alt lines aren't priced appropriately compared to the game lines, just because of their 2 different allotments of basically thresholds. Excuse me, their thresholds are different. They don't pull from the same threshold, which means one line moves different than the other. So you can still get Garrett Green on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, probably not the great number on FanDuel because, like Dre said, terrifying.
Yeah,
shook. But
well, I'll say, I mean, just in terms of when I'm giving out these alt lines going to be given, most of them are going to be on DraftKings. Even though they're kind of been set in the market and FanDuel's been more reactionary, they've been much more conservative on FanDuel's side. Usually we're talking about 100 bips, 100 points either way, 325 to 425 from the difference, where definitely the more competitive side has been DraftKings for the player.
Yeah. And a quick question here from Dre to Taylor, over 30.5 receiving yards. Any opinion before we move on to the Holiday Bowl?
What are we doing? Which one? Cole Taylor? Man, we've actually talked about Cole Taylor a few times on this show, and I've gone I've gone under him a few times. He is a pretty heavily targeted part of the offense. You know what I mean? Because I am kind of backing a good game for Green, I'm apprehensive about taking, the West Virginia receiving unders, and because of the lack of secondary depth for UNC, because they are missing, multiple players from their secondary. There was already, fairly porous. So I think we're going to get some points in this game. With that in mind, it's like I'm backing off of Taylor. I think that's a pretty good line. I would prefer to have him if I was going to take an under position. I'd like to get him around 35 to 37. 30 is just a little too low. Like he gets to those low 30s.
Yeah. Just to recap this game in general, we got Virginia Tech real quick too. Brad is on Garrett Green over 16.5 rushing yards plus the alternative line. Shop around for the best number possible there. Eric is shutting down on British Brooks apparently, but you can still shop around, probably find something competitive there to get that number in that game. And then of course JJ Jones under riding Green. Could be a squad ride if my guys were in states for props. And Virginia Tech, Mekhi Hughes under 107. Look around for that. Dakota Felton over 57.5. And I'm not even going to say that first name, but 210 over 67.5 rushing yards versus Tulane. And I'm riding with you guys in the chat. Virginia Tech minus 10.5. I think I'm locking in though. UNC plus 6, Brad. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay, man.
Yeah.
3-point win's not going to make me mad.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we can all be happy here.
Yeah.
For Louisville versus USC, we already know this total opened 7.5, 7 pretty much everywhere because Caleb Williams is not going to play. Everyone expected that. Total has bounced around between 57s to 60s, and we're in a situation where how competitive will USC be when they went 1-5 over their last 6 games? But you got to assume there'll be some type of course correction here, fellas. I couldn't trust either side completely to get to the window. I lean USC. I'm taking them in my contest, especially to win and cover. But I think the best bet here would probably be the over if we're picking a play. I think that Louisville's defense. I think the over under 59 is pretty telling here in a Louisville game, who is the third best points per game defense in the ACC. And we obviously know USC doesn't play defense, but if their offense can put up points here, which I think they can, Eric, I think USC can cover the 7. But the best bet to me is the over in this one. What do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also like the over. That is going to be my people's parlay selection. I will also be at the game.
Nice.
So I will be there live and direct from the field in, of course, San Diego and Petco Park. Only the second game ever played that is a football game at Petco Park. The first one was last year's Holiday Bowl, which was I'm very excited. I don't know if they can live up to that, but that was Oregon UNC. That was Drake May, Bo Nix last season for the opener of Petco Park. So that was a hell of a game. I don't know if we're gonna be able to beat that with Jake Plummer and Miller Moss. No offense.
That sounds like an under type of game, Eric.
Good luck with that. But obviously pretty excited about going to that game. That being said, man, obviously USC's defense is one of an absolutely you throw around the term all time, but I think it was an all-time unit in terms of the talent compared to return on that talent. It was, a horror show. And with that said, you've got some important guys out. Tackett Curtis, probably the best linebacker. He will be not playing, transfer portal. Damani Jackson, definitely the top cover corner.
Yep.
He's out. So that's going to be important because on the other side, Louisville, no Jamari Thrash. So who's it going to be for that wide receiver core? It's going to be Amari Huggins, Bruce. It's going to be Kevin Coleman, the 4-star transfer from Jacksonville State. Dion, he went over there and hit Dion's, FCS team before transferring out. Instead of going to following his old coach, he went to Louisville. Is it his time to shine? Personally, I like Chris Bell because in the preseason, obviously Jamari Thrash ended up being the number 1, but Chris Bell was getting week after week, practice after practice. He was the guy who was showing out in practices and making incredible plays. And they were saying, look, this guy's going to be next. All right. So when you hear that sort of thing all offseason where, Thrash is obviously dynamic, I'm going to go with Bell. I think he has been, the best of that kind of group. I'm not a Huggins-Bruce guy. I could see Coleman certainly being the guy who goes off, but I know one thing. Somebody is going to go off of that wide receiver group. This USC defense has allowed somebody from a lot of times you probably get 2 overs. Maybe you get a blanket overplay, for all of them, because I've seen Huggins-Bruce around 30. I've seen Coleman around 35-ish. So you could really realistically throw a blanket on it. I would even probably say if you can get an alt on Coleman, which I haven't seen out there yet, I would take a look at going with, sprinkling on Coleman and Bell at the higher levels, because, hey, you could throw a little bit of money on each of them, cover it. One of them goes off and you're going to be completely in the clear. As of right now, we have Bell on the alts, that's at least what's been up. DraftKings had the best odds on him, as you see here. You were getting some serious money. 90 plus yards, 750. You're going to go over 111 to 1 on your money. Where somebody's going to do it against USC, it's eventual. I'm not saying they're not going to want to run the ball, because I think they are. And that's why I also look at Garendo, who we don't have Jawar Jordan. He is declared for the draft. Maurice Turner will be filling the secondary running back role, but he's undersized. He's more of a scat back, all-purpose type. And I think it's pretty safe to say I like Garendo for 15 to 20. If he does, you look at his 90.5 yards, I'm in. I think especially 110, even money, that's a solid book. And if you even want to scrape the ceiling and look at maybe he goes higher than that, 120, you're going to get 2.5, 265 at 120 against this USC defense. Again, they're letting everybody do it. I think the returns are worth it, especially on the wide receiver front, where you're going to get so much for so little. So those would be a couple of pretty good alt lines that I would pay attention to in that game.
Yeah, absolutely love those. Want to give a shout out to Brad, who was giving away $50 to someone who comments on the YouTube video he tweeted out. So get your best bets in, get your comments in the chat. Love to see that. 2 people also want to give a shout out to. Sia Najad asked what we were on the Virginia Tech game. He was a guy that came on the show and delivered for us this year. Yeah. I told him we're on VTech, and the NBC chat is on it as well, and they're a sharp bunch. Yes. So let's get it. And I feel like we're getting some big plays today, big money. So I wore 3 chains to shout out Trista Crick, who came on and gave us a sweep when she wore 3 chains.
Heck yeah.
So loving the plays today. And Brad, you're on Chris Bell as well.
I'm on Chris Bell. I debated whether or not to give this play out because I bet him at 31.5 yesterday. Woo. And that, that number was going to get smoked. And then I saw 43.5. I literally shopped. Oh my God. You just destroyed Chris Bell's lines. They all just dropped as I'm talking right now. That is hilarious. Holy smokes. I don't think
what are we looking at
before. 90 plus moved from plus 900 to plus 320. 80 plus moved from plus 550 to plus 220. And 70 plus moved from plus 375 to plus 155. Holy smokes. Oh my God. Yeah, I knew this was crazy.
That qualifies as CLV. I hope you guys got it in.
Yeah, Bet Rivers is now moving too. Oh my gosh. Bet Rivers is now 40 plus at minus 118. I took Chris Bell. I want to add on to what Eric said here, what I thought was pretty interesting. You guys know I bet Thrash early in the season. And then after Thrash got the finger surgery, he was not the same player. And since then, you saw Chris Bell's target rate go up. He was a guy who was getting 1 to 2 targets a game. Then it started going up to about 4.25 targets per game after the injury. Now there's going to be no Thrash even on the field, despite him just being the decoy that he was for a few games after his surgery. I think that this is going to be Chris Bell's moment. We're getting a low number here. He's going to get a ton of volume. And what's great about him too is he has the big playability. Anytime you have a guy with a big playability when you're taking alt lines, I didn't post the alt line, but I did tail Froton as alt line there. You're gonna have to play it, right? This defense, 110th, I believe, in defensive success rate. It was something gross. I have it somewhere. 85th in defensive success rate. They're 120th in net points per drive. It's going to be a lot of throwing, a lot of high scoring play. But Louisville can get what they want, take as they want it. This is a celebration game for them. Despite not winning the ACC, excuse me, they were 1,000-1 preseason to win the ACC. They made it to the title game, put up a great effort, had a chance to actually do something a mega positive for Jeff Brom in year one. This is a celebration game for them. They're going to feast on this USC defense. So I went with Chris Bell, but I do think Louisville wins this game. You're going to see this number, I obviously believe, might dip down to 5.5. I looked at it earlier to see what the line movement was telling us. And the line movement was telling us that there are some people who are buying the +7, which means you could get 6, excuse me, not 5.5. You could get 6 before kickoff. Just pay attention. Make sure you use one of those aggregates that kind of has you where you can shop your lines, and you could see the line movement. There's some buyback on USC, which might get us down to 6.5.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to see that. I've seen some sharps put out USC too, and I know they don't play defense, but I think both teams will be excited to play in this game. And I like your points too, and I like William's point that Brad is my hero. Same,
yes,
man.
Roll Tide, baby, Roll Tide.
Same, man. We got a lot of questions here in this game, so we'll run through some of them before we move on to the Texas Bowl, which I have an official bet in. I'm super excited to watch. Any love for Austin Jones under 72.5?
There's no Marshawn Lloyd, so it's probably going to be that Austin Jones showcase. Obviously, Quentin Joyner will get a little bit, and they'll work him in. But geez, I thought about what to do with that. I do respect Louisville's defense, and you saw with that slog that they had against Florida State. I mean, you saw Trey Benson; he went under that number, and I certainly feel better about Trey Benson and the Florida State run game, I guess, than I do about USC. Not that I felt better about USC's offense overall, but I mean, they were trying to run and they couldn't, so I laid off of that because of the potential of Joyner and the other, they got I forget his name off the top of my head, but the other true freshman who they have a pair of 4-stars that are up and coming. I think you see them kind of work in a little bit. So I'm a little apprehensive on that, the Austin Jones. I don't mind the under. I would lean under if I were going to go anywhere on him, but I didn't play it myself.
Gotcha.
Branch or Washington over.
God, that Miller Moss number is 250.5. I thought that was pretty aggressive, but it is USC.
Yeah.
And Miller Moss has been there for time immemorial, so this is his time.
What
Branch 2.0.
Branch is 44.5. I'd probably go with Branch personally.
It's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I took a look at Branch, and you know what? I probably
see if I see a smaller line, 43.5. I'd probably take Branch.
I would go Branch.
Even with Williams, like he was getting the bulk. He was getting a good amount of targets per game too. Like I think his average was, top of my head math, 4.3 targets per game. Yards per target were there. And Miller's got to be throwing the ball, right? This is not a great Louisville defense. Louisville was not terrible. Actually, really good against the pass.
Good, man.
Yeah, really good against the pass.
Good defense.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Lincoln Riley's have to cook something up. I'm looking at numbers that are suggesting I don't want any part of USC's passing attack here. 16th defensive success rate, 9th against the pass. I would go Branch up between the two. So someone's going to be catching passes, and they're probably going to be playing from behind.
What's Washington at? Is Taj? He was at 61 around
60. Yeah, 60.5.
Dude, I think. First off, there's no Brendan Rice. There's no Mario Williams. They're both gone. So those slots are filled. You're going to see full-time Branch. But, man, I mean, Taj Washington was, it was him and Rice that were the most targeted. And with no Rice, this being Taj Washington's swan song, I mean, pretty good line. I mean, I think they're both fairly lined. But, geez, I would probably, obviously, you want to have the new shiny toy in Zachariah Branch, who's going to just annihilate the world next year. But I think the safe play is probably Taj.
Taj is the safe play.
Yeah, because he's already proven to get that sort of target share.
I think I just got scared of
the outside
option.
There's no Brendan Rice. They're gonna have to throw somebody else on the outside. Maybe it's Branch, but he's gonna be targeted. I think he gets at least 9. And if he gets 9, then that's 60 yards. He's got to average 7 yards. I think that's all day. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he averaged 6.3 targets per game. Oh no, more. If you take away the first half of the year, first 4 games of the year,
down the stretch.
Yeah, he started balling during the stretch too.
That's a very fairly conservative. And if you didn't see him at 60 hardly at all. He was at least in like the mid to late 70s all season long. But that's with Caleb. That's the Caleb. Discount essentially with the 60-61. But I still think it makes up for it with Rice being out. Rice is a big deal,
Do we think that he does any soft, what do you call them, soft outs? Because I know he's going to declare for the draft as well.
I mean, that could be in play, but with him.
But I don't think he's a soft out.
He's a wide receiver, I don't. I mean, obviously Malachi Corley did, but
that's a different story.
I feel like he's a program guy. It's not like he's a tippity top recruit. He could use the showcase.
Yeah, he's playing the Shrine Bowl too.
It makes sense. Yeah, he's going to the Shrine Bowl. It's not like he's going he could use the showcase, frankly. And if he's going to go out and play and want to do it, I think it makes sense for him to play the whole thing. No Michael Jackson either. I mean, their top 3 of their top receivers, like their top, call it the top 2 rotation, top 6 are out. I mean, it's his show.
Yeah. People come to this show for a lot of things, guys. To make money, to be enjoyed, to learn something for 1 hour, to look at Brad, to look at Eric. Baghdad Lean, he's coming here for friendship or $50. If you don't win, Baghdad Lean, I'll be your friend. We need more friends on this show. So let's go about it. And Steve, hey, don't even go there yet. Talking about Iowa and Tennessee. You already know what it is. One of the biggest positions of bowl season. You already know what it is.
Yes.
I do want to point out our boy Bobby Boucher mentioning that Kevin Coleman for Louisville is 14-1 on 365.
God, 365 odds are really good.
That's a beaut. So I mean, gosh, if you looked at that pregame, if you could go 100, you're getting 11-1 on Bell and 14-1 on Coleman there. Pre-show. That's I'm very curious to see if one of them goes over 100 yards. We'll put it that way.
Lines are moving in. Wow. So USC officially dropped down to plus 6.5, by the way.
Yeah. Wow. But like someone said in the chat about, USC going to see what the young guys can do. I really think that, you give a lot of these freshmen and sophomores opportunity here, especially with all the money being thrown around the portal. I think a lot of these guys are going to play hard, to be honest with you. I don't like betting USC in general. Like they haven't been good to me, but this is probably a position to play them. The next game just moved on us, though, big time. I'm trying to find the update for Iowa and Tennessee, actually, because that line's going to move drastically from the total. I gave out under 36.5 on the NBC Sports website, and that spread was 8.5 for Tennessee. It's down to 6.5 right now. Total's 35.5.
Yep,
still absolutely good with that under 35.5. But Iowa was going to be my spread bet. I was probably going to sprinkle the money line. Now I love it more than ever. I think the Big Ten's going to have a great bowl season, guys. I really think they're going to finish with a winning record, probably cover against the spread. And Joe Milton. Yeah. Good choice. Good choice to opt out. Guys.
You can see Nico now. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, let's see it. This actually just moved. So this was a 3-point game. And now we're seeing Oklahoma State laying 3.5 at most shops. Gentlemen, back in the day, one of the bangers of my childhood, this is how it went. Is your man on the flow? If he ain't, let me know. Let me see if you can run it. And they were talking about Ollie Gordon. We didn't know it then, but they're talking. Let's go, baby, because they are going to smack them up. Brad, I know you're on the Cowboys too. I wanted to give them out plus 2.5 on the money line on this show. But you know what? People got a hold of Ollie Gordon. He burned us, but A&M, so many issues, guys. Over 12 players with 200-plus snaps are missing for the Aggies. Their interim head coach has taken a DC job to join Syracuse and Fran Brown next year. That's not very inspiring for this team. This guy's in and out right away. Give me Oklahoma State, man. I'd play him at 3 if you can still get the 3. But if you watched our video yesterday, anything on that on X, you got a great line.
Yeah, we both gave this one out. And this is like one of those where you just have to be aware of what's going on in the program. Texas A&M set a record for the most 5-star recruits to hit the transfer portal at once or during a transfer window. They're going to, they're a team who hung their hats on their great defensive line, right? But pretty much everyone on that defensive line is either, we'll do the front 7, okay? Is either transferring or going to the NFL draft. It's going to be a very thin unit, especially with like players who didn't even get a ton of snaps on their line is like that had high recruiting grades are even leaving. So yes, they were great against the run during the season, but this is a totally different front 7. For me, and this is OK State, who Ollie Gordon's playing. He's going to run rampant on this team. And also an Oklahoma State team who, when you think Big 12, you often forget about, you often think, or there's a stigma in that no one plays defense. This is a solid defensive team. People are going to be blinded by what happened with them when they played Texas. But we have to remember, this is a Texas team who is a college football playoff representative, a team who has legitimate chance to win the college football national championship. And this is a Texas A&M team who's in massive transition. Think about Florida when they made their transition to Napier, what happened in their bowl game. Think about, was it Purdue when they made their transition to their bowl game against who they play, LSU. This is one of those situations where it's going to be, I personally believe it's going to be tough for Texas A&M to stop the run, to move the ball with effectiveness. I did lean, what's his name, Henderson, the quarterback for Texas A&M. I did lean his rushing over, but I stayed away because if this was the NFL, I bet it. Dude's going to run the ball 15 plus times, but he's not great at avoiding pressure, and he's going to take a lot of sacks, especially with a lot of guys gone from that offensive line as well.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts terrible at avoiding pressure. 4 sacks each of the past 2 games.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Brad, now that if you didn't get Oklahoma State with us yesterday, and you're looking at a money line now that's between 150 and minus 175 at most shops, what are you opting to do? Are you playing the money line? Or are you taking -3?
3 just becomes such a big number.
Because now you've gone from +2.5 to -3, 3.5. So you're losing a lot of value on that spread.
I would go on BetMGM. Thanks for sponsoring the show. I would go on BetMGM and make a over. So I don't tease often, but they do pretty good parlays that have good value. Where I would take over, game over, and Oklahoma State money line. I could build it out here.
BetMGM is pricing Oklahoma State at -175 now. Yeah, woo, man, we got it when it was hot. Well, while you price that out, Eric, do you want to take over with your plays?
Yeah, when it comes to the reason why we're talking about this, such movement, Texas A&M. I mean, there's opt-outs, there's transfer portals all over the place. In terms of this slate that we're looking at here, they're right up there with Tulane, probably even more so, because look, the Jimbo Fisher era is over. In comes Elko. Total restructuring of that famed 2021, 2022, recruiting classes. They essentially quote unquote bought or whatever they say. But I mean, there's a ton of impact players that are in the portal. I can't even sit here and pretend to list them all. Whereas Oklahoma State's pretty much intact. They're in good shape, just backups. Blaine Green and Jaden Bray are the 2, most experienced players, and Jaden Nixon, wide receivers and a backup running back. They're all backups. They've all been passed. Green and Bray have been passed by Owens and Leon Johnson. So they're pretty much irrelevant. So this is a full strength Oklahoma State and a complete changing of the guard Texas A&M. So it's really tough. One thing that this exodus does provide for A&M is value on the wide receivers. You know, Jalen Henderson started he's played extensively the last 3 games. In the last 2 games, he has thrown an interception. One of those games is against Abilene Christian. The other one was against LSU. On Prize Picks, I like to throw a bone. You know, not everybody has access to the domestic markets, but on Prize Picks, his 0.5 interceptions is out there and easily able to be parlayed and put as part of a 2 or 3 team parlay if you want to go in that particular direction. That is a smoking deal. If you go and you look, I did find it one particular place for Henderson's just straight over 0.5 interceptions. It was like a 1.5 to 1. It was 150 in terms of the odds. You're getting a great value. If you're already playing on Prize Picks anyways, go and hit that. That's a good deal on the over, because I would like to think with the amount of throwing I think they'll probably have to do here, that he's going to be putting himself in harm's way, and that's obviously dangerous. On the other side, you only have 3 scholarship wide receivers that are supposedly going to be active. 2 of them are nominal starters in Tawee Walker and Moose Muhammad. I think somebody mentioned him in the chat here. Somebody's already kind of pressing Ja'Day Walker. With those 2, pretty reasonable lines on both of them, frankly. You could look at Mushin Muhammad, 42.5 receiving yards. I think that's particularly probably taking over that Anais Smith slot role, which has traditionally been a very heavy volume. You saw 2 games ago, he was out there. He got 7 targets, caught 4 for 100 yards. I think you could certainly see him. He's going to get volume. I think you see him in that 7 to 10 range. If he does, 42.5 receiving yards is very reasonable. We know that Jalen Henderson is at least competent and at least has some time under his belt of starting. So I'm not worried about him just being a complete unknown getting out there. So I do think that there is a little bit of value on those 2 receivers, since, I mean, what other choice do they have if they're going to be airing it out other than to throw to Muhammad or, JD?
Not sure. Brad?
Yeah, I did. I did build the parlays out for you guys. I did one with the implied total, which is on under the applied total, which is on BetMGM, which is Oklahoma State money line, and over 44.5 points, which is plus 105. And then I built it on on FanDuel for you, which is Oklahoma State money line and over 39.5 points at minus 129 for anybody who doesn't want to lay the minus 170, minus 175.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you were the expertise when it comes to that with the same game parlays, but love those plays overall. Going with Moose Muhammad, father was a legend. I remember my first NFL game first Super Bowl I watched was Panthers-Patriots.
Patriots,
Muhammad,
hell yeah,
Steve Smith,
that was a great
Jake
one.
Delhomme. Yeah, I was like, what is this sport and why have I not watched it before? But Mushin Muhammad was awesome. We're taking Henderson's over, and Brad and I are both on Oklahoma State here. We got the best of the line. Not the best of the line for you guys, but we can try and do what we can to get you guys a winner still. So that was just Wednesday. We still got to do Thursday. And then we're going back here Friday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. So,
All right, we should probably whip through these.
That's what they say.
An hour in, my God.
Yeah,
Bowl season. We're excited.
Great breakdowns. We moved a lot of lines, have a lot of plays. So, I'm going to kick us off on this one, gentlemen, because the Fenway Bowl to me is an exciting game. Second year of this happening, and the weather points to an under. I got my AccuWeather app right here, and basically it's going to be raining from 5 o'clock on most throughout the night here in Boston, and then in the morning up until 11 a.m. when this game is about to kick off. Bless you, Brad. And then we will see rain continue from 3 o'clock on. So the field's going to be wet throughout this game. We also have to remind ourselves that this is at Fenway Park where the Red Sox play. So that's not always a great thing for an over for some teams. I look at this game. I don't trust either offense too much. The wind gusts be 10 to 15 as well. Boston College hit the over 5 straight, gentlemen. SMU to the under 3 straight. Last year we saw a 24-7 game in this bowl game. And I think we see something similar here. I don't trust either offense. Defenses are a little stronger than we think. And I love to hate on Boston College, Eric. I kind of lean them here because I think they're going to play inspired and keep SMU in check. So official play for me is the under in this game. What do you like?
Guys, this is a game that just dropped right before we went on air. So these are fresh lines with BC. And that's important because you got a couple of doozies out here. As mentioned, weather game. It's the Northeast. I'm from Boston, Pittsburgh over there with Vaughn. Let me personally assure you the weather is a hellscape right now.
Yeah, it's raining right now.
I'm glad I'm not in Boston, obviously, right now this time of year. I'm glad I'm in San Diego. I'm glad I'm going to the Holiday Bowl instead of the Fenway Bowl. Let's just say that. Just get that out of the way right now. Then let's move on to two props, the ones you see on the screens. I think they're both best bet level. Especially, Robichaux and Castellanos destroy these lines. Annihilate them every time.
Man.
With Castellanos, Castellanos has cleared 43.5, 11 of 12 times. Oh, what do you want? What do you want me to do here? What do you want me to say about that? Other than go out and find yourself an alt line that concerns Thomas Castellanos and go and hit that if you can get 60, 70 plus. I think those are just as good. That he's hitting them every time out. And he's not a particularly great passer in the rain. He's a running QB. Go for it. Kyle Robichaux got banged up last game against Miami. Had 4 carries for 8 yards. And give you the 4 games before that. 24 for 118 against Pitt. 23 for 70, Syracuse. 23 for 112, UConn. 21 for 165, Georgia Tech. Okay? You gonna throw him out there at 47? Why wouldn't you take his alt line? Do it right away. Now. I could only find one alt line on Robichaux, and that was FanDuel put him out at plus 265 at 70 plus yards. Great. Sure. Will you give me more? I'll take it. What will you give me?
Once again, moving line.
Any more now?
Yeah, you moved line.
Guys. I'm
pretty
sorry.
steep on that.
I got him at plus 265. Got whatever we could. We're not going to get any more of those on Castellanos or Robichaux. For sure. If you get anything you can get, I would run. Get whatever you can get on those two.
What I would recommend too, for like these, when Eric gives out a bet that's like this, that's not widely available, always just keep monitoring. Like every 20 minutes, it's going to be available soon on other books, and they're normally going to put whatever their line is, whatever they think is fair, and sometimes it's going to be lower. So like Castellanos right now is 55.5 on FanDuel. That's not to say DraftKings is going to release him at 55. DraftKings could release him lower. Just always monitor. That's why you want to use multiple.
We're just lucky. These are fresh lines. These just dropped right as the show came on.
Yep.
Most of the time, our shows, we're doing them on, Fridays or Saturdays. These are already settled lines. This is fresh. These are not going to end up at these lines.
Let me ask you this then, Eric, because Xavier asked, he wants to pair something with Henderson's interceptions. Would you do one of these two guys?
I don't even think they're on Prize Picks.
I don't think they're on Prize Picks. No.
I don't think you can do them with those two. Obviously, any other stuff. Oh, you know what I'll do? This next game. The next game we're doing.
Yeah. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to add to this game, Brad? Before we hop.
I do. X. If you have Sleeper, use promo code Brad Thomas to get up to $100 on your first deposit. If you have Sleeper, there's a ton of picks on sale that you can pair with Henderson. Henderson is available on Sleeper too, so I know I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the Luka over and going to take the Amari Cooper receiving over. Amari's not in a great spot, but the max is only $10. So if you do 2 of those, you're already at $20 there.
Yeah, do a little $10 or $10K challenge.
Yeah.
Which we tried to start. We were trying to get a group chat, but I don't think Eric knew what we were talking about.
Sorry, guys.
I think no, it's okay. It's okay. Mr. Pitts, what's good? If you joined late, we got a lot of great picks here that we're definitely going to be recapping. Let's hop into the holiday or the Pinstripe Bowl. Excuse me. The Pinstripe Bowl is now flipped Brad and I were going to give you guys a play here. We're still going to give you a play, but Rutgers went from an underdog earlier at some points, 3.5, 4-point underdog. Now they're laying 1.5 as the favorite. Over-under stayed stagnant at 41.5. Big game for Rutgers here since this game is in the Bronx Yankee Stadium. Short trial for them. I could see a chess match between Shiano and Cristobal here, Brad, but I like Rutgers. I played them at the +1.5. Obviously, Van Dyke's out for Miami. Winstep will be in for Rutgers. Not saying that's a huge edge here for Rutgers, but I think Rutgers is going to win this game regardless. So I like them on the money line here. I also played the under, which I think will be on the move at some point once people get wind of how many players could be out for Miami, because this is not that inspiring for the Hurricanes going up to the Bronx, New York to play Rutgers in a bowl game.
100% agree. It's motivation one as the factor here. You're telling yourself you're from Miami, from Orlando, going up and playing in this game is not something where you're excited about. Players are leaving the program. Players are entering the draft. You have guys who are like, let's just get through the season healthy. I mean, the end of the season, get into the offseason, start working on making a real push for the ACC title. And I don't fault them at all. Then you have a Rutgers team under Greg Schiano, who he's a motivation coach. Every team he's coached, you cannot say there's been a lack of effort. They might have had and that's even the NFL. That's not even it's not because of the quality of players. The players' quality might have been why they've not been good, but they've always played hard. Now, from just a sheer numbers standpoint, too, like Rutgers gets kind of like a bad rap on their defense when you look at numbers, right? 113th defensive success rate. But a lot of it's not because they're bad. It's also because the teams they've had to play. They played some very difficult teams. And it's also their offense isn't the best. It's not an offense that's going to go toe for toe. So they will have a lot of stalled out drives, which makes it more difficult. That's when you want to look at numbers like net points per drive. Are they allowing a ton of points on defense when the opponent has the ball compared to other teams in the country? And it's not a lot. I think they're going to do well defensively in this game. They're going to have a ton of motivation and they win this game. Like you guys said, I think the Big Ten has a really big bowl season. They've already started off, 2-0? And I think they continue that here with this game.
Yeah, totally agree. Eric?
Yeah, for this, I actually like the wide receiver for Rutgers, Christian Dremel. He is listed actually -110 at 3.5 receptions. That's absolutely outrageous. Actually, it's probably moved up a little bit at this point, but in terms of the trends here, he's only cleared the 3.5 reception mark twice in 12 games all season. In terms of the last few games, 2 catches for 25 yards, 2 for 25, 2 for 27, 5 for 69, 2 for 14. That's the last 5 games that we're getting into here. So the fact that he's only cleared that twice, playing against a good Miami team, talented Miami team, and the fact that, you've got Wimsatt, who's only going to be, how many completions does he put up a game anyways?
Yeah.
Low teens, maybe mid-teens tops. So there's not a lot to go around already, and where he's just one of 4 or 5 different options, really. I'm going to play the percentages there and go with that. I would say that's a pretty good one to pair with the interceptions over, if you have a chance to do that on Prize Picks, because that's one of those Prize Pick type style plays because they have receptions. If not, then there's a play in the next game that I also like. If you can't get it, 3.5.
Thank you to everyone who's riding Rutgers with us. They are now out to -130 and -140. That's some shops.
Oh,
make you feel pretty good, Brad, as 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I like them. I like them a lot. I gave
that
this
flipped.
bet out.
That flipped that line. They
I gave them out as a dog. I want to say last Thursday at +2, I gave them out on my What's the Spread podcast. So I literally said I think they win this game. It's just tough. You're in a tough spot if you're a Miami Hurricanes fan, and I don't think they're going to travel all that well because they're genuinely looking forward towards next season.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, and the weather's not going to be great there either. If Boston's not going to be good, Pittsburgh's not good right now, New York's not going to be good. Definitely field conditions are going to be some worrisome there too, which favors Rutgers. So no surprise there. The next game, actually, there's some movement happening as we speak.
You can't even get lines on Miami. There's nothing out yet. I haven't seen a single line on a single Miami player. So that tells you kind of what we're dealing with there.
You're going to want to get the next game into because this one's going to move really fast. Twos are popping up everywhere. And, Pop-Tarts Bowl, I mean, you guys saw the trophy. Like, I'm trying to win this trophy. Like I want a replica. It was sweet. But for NC State, this is a monumental game.
You guys get a pretty cool prize for that trophy. Don't you get a little circus swim? Or
you talking about the contest we're in?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the trophy for the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
For the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Oh, you guys want the Pop-Tart? I thought you were talking about
No. The Pop-Tarts Bowl is something that I want.
It's everyone wants bigger this trophy than just a circus swim, afternoon.
Listen, if you're watching this right now and these haven't been made, here's your get some money real quick idea. Go right now and find a way to make replica Pop-Tart Bowl trophies to give out for fantasy football. Because that's what I want for my fantasy football leagues. But in all seriousness here, huge game for NC State. I am taking them +2. I am playing the money line. It's already down to +110 now. I played at +120. Now, Kansas State opened up -7.5 point favorites. They have opt-out galore. I mean, OC's out, quarterback, leading receiver, second leading rusher, lineman, tight end, half of the offense. All right, defense got some stuff too. But NC State could have 10 wins for the first time since 2002. They've also lost 3 straight bowl games, including last year's Duke's Mayo Bowl. Who wants to be dumped in Mayo when you could be eating Pop-Tarts the next season? So I totally get that situation. But NC State won 5 straight to win the regular season, 35 and 39 in their last 2. And Kansas State's defense, boys, 127 let up over the last 4 games. NC State might be best bet potential for me since Oklahoma State has moved on me drastically. So I like the Wolfpack. I think they're going to win. And shout out to my guy, Robert Kennedy, D-back for NC State. Hopefully he comes back next year to have a super senior season and just totally put his name on the NFL draft boards. But watch out for him. He might lay someone out tonight on national television or tomorrow night. Mark my words.
Well, he's running for president, so I hope he doesn't.
I'm telling you, I don't know if you guys have ever met someone in your hometown that you knew was going to be like, oh, this kid's going pro in something, like what sport? I'm talking about 7-year-old with like abs and muscles. Like he already had the shoulders and everything. I was like, he's going to be good.
We've all seen him.
Yeah, NC State.
I'm going to be at this game, guys. I'm going to be at this game. I also am going to be in the hospitality tent. So if anybody finds their way there pre-game, we can definitely take some drinks together, have some food. But this was one of the games that we got to select the teams to be in. And initially, the roar from some were, what do we do about Kansas State? Definitely deserving, but no Will Howard. I think that was quickly shot down with Avery Johnson. True freshman Avery Johnson is going to be the next big thing at Kansas State. Dude's got an incredible motor, and everyone in this city, not this city in Orlando, everyone in that city is excited about the future with him. I genuinely believe it wasn't a Will Howard leaving because it was Will Howard was highly wanted to be acquired by other teams, but Avery Johnson is the real deal. I'm excited for this game. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't even think I have a bet in this game. I'm going to be watching it, obviously rooting on Froton's props here because I did take the alt lines with him. And I also did use his prop. I'm not going to give it away right away. It did use his prop in Prize Picks and Sleeper. So just FYI.
I just love that.
Oh, yeah. I got a prop. All right. Yeah. I got 2 of them that I like, and they're kind of, I suppose, part and parcel with each other. But best bet, alt line, over Avery Johnson, 58.5 rushing yards. The fact is, 58.5 rushing yards is borderline laughable, and that's absurd because anybody who knows who Avery Johnson is, high 4-star recruit, was groomed to take over from the time he stepped on campus. If you watched him in the spring game, he looked dynamic out there running the ball. It's clear this is not going to be the Will Howard Kansas State offense. That was a different version of the Kansas State offense where you have a pro style legitimate QB who's going to be out there slinging bullets at a high-profile program next year because he, can play, kick and throw. Avery Johnson is a old-school Kansas State type quarterback that is going to be running the veer/triple option. You're going to see the run-based Kansas State offense, and they're going to absolutely run it down everybody's throat next year. The 2 games that he had extended action, one, Texas Tech, completed 8 of 9 passes. 9 passes for 77 yards. Ran the ball 13 times for 90 yards. 5 touchdowns on the ground. 5 rushing touchdowns. Right? Next game, again, Will Howard's banged up. Throws 10 passes, completes 5 of them for 90 yards and a touch. Goes 16 carries for 73 yards. Okay, so those are like the 2 games where he had the extended action. It could actually, we got a glimpse of what they're doing. We know what they're going to do, and that's what they're going to do. He's going to crush 58.5 yards. Lock that down. How high does he go? You look at 90 plus, you're going to get 3.5, 370, 100, 550, 110, 850. I think they're all in play. I mean, I respect NC State. They have a good defense. There are a couple opt-outs, but there's talent behind them. Clark, their nose tackle, they have the much more talented player coming up after him and everything. So, look, it's not about NC State. It's just a matter of if you run the ball enough times, like I think we're going to see out of Kansas State, it's just a matter of math. And with Avery Johnson, that being what they do, that being their identity, lean into what a team is, lean into what a team does. And that's what they're going to do with here. So love the over. Also on the other side, Keegan Johnson, wide receiver. We know that Ben Sinnott is out. We know that Phil Brooks, CM Punk, he is at WWE. He will be opting out. So, next men up, and let's see who are the contributors. Sure, Keegan Johnson had some good pub and did some good things, but he was kind of a tertiary option in the offense. Now, you don't have Will Howard throwing him. He's at 30.5 receiving yards. Maybe he goes and catches a long bomb, but that's not kind of what they're going to do. So in line with how I see the script going, I am also going to fade Keegan Johnson based on where I think Kansas State kind of being more run heavy.
Chocolate fudge.
Strawberry. Also, the mascot for the Pop-Tart Bowl is going to be edible. You'll be able to eat him.
Yeah, I would. Would you eat the mascot? Would you take a bite?
No.
What body part would you eat?
You know what I'm going after? No.
Eric, favorite Pop-Tart. What would you eat off? Would you eat off the mascot?
Wow. Okay, I got to be honest here and come clean. I have never had a Pop-Tart in my life.
Really?
Never touched a Pop-Tart. I
I'm
like
literally
it.
about to
Jam
send you a
on a
box.
piece of cardboard. I was like, "What is this stuff? I don't want this." No, it
What?
wasn't my jam. No, I wasn't a Pop-Tart guy, man. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I wish you would have told me that when you
I
said
literally
it.
had a Pop-Tart at our last meeting when they were telling us the mascot's edible. I had which one did I have? I had the pumpkin spice one, the holiday one. It was all right.
I like eggnog for holidays.
That's what you call getting too cute there. Pumpkin spice Pop-Tarts. No.
Marty
don't want
Chamberlain.
that.
Marty Chamberlain mentioned in the 4.540 that he ran. So
Yeah.
well, and Marty also giving me recommendations on the.
Honestly, Marty, sugar. That's one of the worst ones.
Okay.
The brown
Thanks,
sugar
buddy.
cinnamon. I absolutely, when my
tried it.
mom would get that, I'd be so mad. I'm like, I know it was on sale, but do not ever bring that home again.
Dude,
This
throw
is the
on
worst
double
one.
K. Throw on double K. And thanks, Marty.
Yeah, thank you for the recommendations and the fun with the Pop-Tarts. I'm literally gonna send Eric a box. I promise you all watching. I'm sending Eric a box.
Throw up double K's comment. He just came up on the bottom. This is great because I have to talk about it. Right? I did. I WD-40'd this thing. It's I don't know what to say. I'm gonna get a new one for next season. I'm bummed out because I like this chair. But yeah, man, you're right. I WD-40'd it. I did everything. I don't know what's going on, why the thing just keeps squeaking, but it's just how it is. I even I'll even mute it.
You know what you need?
And I'll shift so that I'll try to do it in between.
I need to sit in one of my chairs. My chair is like, it moves around, goes up and down, doesn't have the back on it, feel like I'm in a studio.
I can basically fall asleep in my chair though.
Yeah, mine's not that. My office chair is, my stage chair is not sleep comfortable, but it's got back support. That's what enough to keep me upright and be comfortable.
I watch a lot of film in this chair. It's tough.
That's fair, yeah.
All right. We're this is already by far
almost
the longest show.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
The longest. Oh, I'm the one who got off on the tangent. This is the longest show.
I was just gonna say the last thing I'll add is just let your chair need some cocoa butter, bro. That's the next thing
This
you
is
need.
like a 6-game slate.
Yeah, very short slate, but we managed to make it longer than it should have been. But we appreciate everyone who's still hanging around because best bets and people's parlay comes up right after the Alamo Bowl.
Oh yeah,
Oklahoma versus Arizona. This is the second ranked game that we have here on the slate. I don't have a play in this game. This is one of my least confidence plays, so I'm going to tell Brad and my competition, Brad, bring me home, my guy, my Lord and Savior.
Yeah, this is going to be the Jackson Arnold show for the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm excited to see what this kid has got. It's only taken 94 snaps so far this season. But I'm picking the Wildcats here. Wildcats played pretty well this season. Jeff Fish has his team pretty tuned up, right? From a metric standpoint, this is a Arizona team who succeeded and excelled offensively, and defense improved throughout the season, or at least from the beginning of the season. A team who capitalized when they really needed to on drives. They scored points when they needed to, and defensively were able to bunker down, not allowing points. And then we talk about this team for Oklahoma. They're going to be out without their quarterback. They're going to be without their running backs, plural. They're going to be without their OC, who's going to go to Mississippi State, which is going to be interesting to see Levy in the SEC there, and also going to be without a ton of offensive linemen. We talked about this earlier. It's good to fade teams with offensive line issues in bowl games, and that's what I'm going to do. Not that I think that this Arizona Wildcats team is really that overpowering on their defensive front, but it's still going to be impactful for the Sooners trying to protect a new starter under center.
Yeah, it is my chair. Karen Shetty talking about how he thought it was. This is great, Brad. He's like, I thought it was Brad's baby crying in the background.
My baby wasn't even here. She was at a doctor's appointment.
My chair. Yeah, Double K knew. Double K could bullseye that. He's like, oh, that's Froton's chair. I see him moving. That thing. There we go. We see. Yeah.
Crazy. No, literally, go listen to the song "Finally Famous." Go listen to that album, Marvin and Chardonnay. I put the album. This is literally reminding me of this right now. Just the bed squeaking in the background of the song. It sounds like Eric's chair.
Yeah, I wish it was a bed. No, it's definitely not a bed. But all right, let's bring this on home here with Michael Wiley. 0.5 touchdowns versus Oklahoma. You can get that. That's another prize pick. I would put the under Michael Wiley touchdowns with the previous, over interceptions. That would be a great prize picks double up. But as it stands, Wiley, dude, he got 2 touchdowns last game. Other than that, he had 1 touchdown the entire rest of the season. He's like Jonah Coleman is the goal line back. Michael Wiley is the passing down specialist. He's going to catch 3-4 passes. He'll get a few carries and everything. But man, you're going to go with the touchdowns. You're going to give me a 50-50 on the over touchdowns. If you were to put that into just a solo bet outside of the prize picks, that's probably a minus 170. Like under. You know what I mean? You're getting even on that, and you can pair it up with the interceptions. Like that's a pretty good call on that under. I also like the under rushing yardage with Coleman there and playing Oklahoma. Yeah, I know that there's some opt-out stuff in that front, but still plenty of talent.
Yeah. And
given that he is more of a passing specialist, dude, I think 56.5 is a big number. So I'm trending under on the Michael Wiley stuff with Jonah Coleman, a very capable 1A, 1B type likely to vulture the carries.
Yeah, if you do play that, expecting to put that out on X, is that what you're going to do?
Put it out on X if I want to?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to play that, are you going to put it out?
Oh yeah. Put it on out there.
Just double checking so people give something to look forward to tonight, man. That's all. Yeah, don't press me. But no, I'm just kidding. Let's not like that. Nothing left in this game for me. I think you guys pretty much covered everything I'd have to say here. Let's do the people's parlay, then best bets. Let's supplant the rundown here, and I'm gonna lead us off. I'm gonna get grimy. I'm gonna take the under 48 in SMU Boston College. I'm gonna play into the weather here. I'm gonna play into an ugly game, and maybe one of the least watched games over the next 3 days, probably. So give me the under.
I'm going with Oklahoma State money line. We talked about it in depth. It's my second favorite play outside of my best bet.
Yeah, I am going to go with Louisville USC over. I will be at the game. I think this is obviously trending in that direction anyways, of there being some points scored. It is a USC game, so they're contractually obligated to give up at least 30. Well, hopefully they can score 31 and make it a nice close game and put this over. But I think that has a pretty damn good shot at happening.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I love it. We need a win. It's been a minute since we've had a People's Parlay win, a couple weeks now. And still at the point, though, where this is plus 510, so we'll be in the positives if we can get a dub here. Who wants to lead us off in best bets? I'm not going to brag that I am the leader in the clubhouse, but I kind of want to give it up to somebody else today.
Good.
I'll go with my best bet, and that's Garrett Green. He has the best, I think, outside of Johnson, the best opportunity for a quarterback to absolutely explode. So I'm just going to stick with my guns. I took him for 100+ for a reason.
Yeah, I got a few, as we've discussed, I got a few plays I really like today. And I will say the Castellanos and Robichaux, I think both of those are great plays, as well as the Avery Johnson over. So I'm going to go with those three best bets. I think those are the three best on the board today.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I like all these plays. I had Rutgers plus 1.5 money line as my best bet, 1.5 unit play. Oklahoma State was the other best bet, but at minus 175 and minus 3.5. I'm not going to try and get a cheap win on everybody here. So I'm going to make NC State plus 2.5 my next best bet. I think they win the game outright. I think getting to 10 wins is going to be very monumental for them, and I think that they have all the motivation in that game. So great show, guys. Hour and 22 minutes. We still have another show on Friday, 11 a.m. to go over tons of games.
Yeah, plenty.
I forgot that show was on Friday. I was like stressing out because I'm going down to the Orange Bowl, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to drive a little bit over the speed limit to get down there, but it's good that I won't have to leave Saturday morning. I mean, Saturday afternoon. I can leave Saturday morning.
Yes. Friday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. Same place, same time. This NBC Sports YouTube channel with our guys, Brad Thomas, Eric Froton. I am Vaughn Dalzell. And guys, enjoy all the plus money, all the ladders. Eric, give us a dance before we get out of here.
Get it, Eric.
Come on, Eric.
Hey. I thought Eric was a robot.
Thank you for watching. Someone
do the Prince Nana from AEW. I do the Prince Nana.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take all of the names and put them in a randomizer, and then I'm gonna DM you on YouTube and let you know if you've won. Best of luck.
You just made me dance. You want my chair to squeak.
Yeah, that's what we did. It's your chair stole the show today.
Wasn't it?
Eric, I'm gonna give some money away on Friday out of the holiday spirit because Brad is. If you want to join me, that's on you. But everyone watching, I'll throw $50 too on Friday to the lucky winner. So.
Let's
spread
go.
the holiday spirit. All right, everybody.
Baby.
We'll see you on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Best of luck with your bets today and tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Get them.